we are going to talk about the part played by labor in the transition from ape to man. Friedrich Engels wrote this pamphlet in 1876. Engels offers us a look at human evolution from a materialist point of view, indicating that the biological development of man is linked to labor. Labor is the driving force of history because it allowed human beings to establish the solid basis for social existence. Engels indicated that labor made easier for man to construct his own destiny. Thanks to labor, man transitioned from biological to cultural evolution. Many animals have the ability to transform the environment according to their own needs. Birds can make nests. Chimpanzees can use tools for extracting insects from trees, and beavers can construct river dams. Those animals are aware of the resources that exist in the world around them. We can say that they are capable in some degree of thinking logically, because they can make plans to satisfy their natural needs. However, human labor is different from that of animals. Human labor is, by its very essence, a collective effort rooted in knowledge and wisdom that has been learned through generations. The transmission of knowledge, as well as the organization of collective labor, would have been impossible without the formation of articulate language. The articulation of common symbols, concepts, and instructions through language, as well as the standardization of tasks, thanks to the social labor, made the formation of supportive and collaborative communities feasible. Webpage the Communist says, beyond this, our methods of labor, the productive forces we have at our disposal, do not disappear with the death of each individual. They are transmitted to future generations, who improve upon the earlier methods, as Engels put it, by the combined functioning of hand, speech organs, and brain, not only in each individual, but also in society. Men became capable of executing more and more complicated operations, and were able to set themselves and achieve higher and higher aims. The work of each generation itself became different, more perfect, and more diversified. Biological evolution was superseded by cultural evolution, because man does not need to adapt to the environment, but instead he adapts his environment to his own needs. Human beings have developed the capacity to sophisticate their productive forces. Cooperatively, we can take greater advantage of existing resources and have better control of our own environment. Biological evolution needs millions of years to exhibit significant changes over time, but social and cultural evolution has shown us an immense advance in scientific knowledge, technology, and life quality. Engels realized that natural evolution made its way to allowing man to develop the basic physical and cognitive faculties to work. Once labor was established as the real turning point in human evolution, it became the essential feature of cultural development. According to Webpage the Communist, Engels traces this history back many hundreds of thousands of years to what he describes as an ape species covered in hair with pointy ears that lived on a now sunken continent called Lemuria. Engels suggested that this ape ancestor was a tree dweller and was probably already a fairly social animal living in bands. He argued that the feet had different functions to the hands owing to their reliance on climbing, and that this led them to lose the habit of using hands to walk and the development of a more upright posture. According to him, this was the origin of bipedalism. Bipedalism was the decisive step in the transition from ape to man. The liberation of hands made possible to use them not for traction, but for manufacturing tools. Neil Faulkner says, a new form of ape roamed the Afar Depression of Ethiopia 3.2 million years ago, Australopithecus afarensis, the so-called southern ape of Afar. Anthropologists recovered 47 fossil bones of one of these Australopithecines in 1974, some 40% of a complete skeleton. From the slight gracile form, they assumed she was female and dubbed her Lucy, but she may in fact have been male. Lucy stood just 1.1 meters tall, weighed around 29 kilograms, and was probably about 20 years old when she died. With short legs, long arms, and a small brain case, Lucy would have looked rather like a modern chimpanzee. But there was a crucial difference. She walked upright. The shape of her pelvis and legs, and the knee joint of another member of the species found a short distance away, proved this beyond reasonable doubt. 2.5 million years ago, hominid started making tools. Approximately 1 million years ago, Homo erectus left Africa after remaining for 1.5 million years there, and started colonizing South and East Asia. Once we start walking on two legs, we could focus our hands exclusively on more dexterous activity. The fine motor skills could develop just because bipedalism was a reality. Labor skills developed by hominids were the responsible for the evolutionary development of the hand. Engels said, thus the hand is not only the organ of labor, it is also the product of labor. Only by labor, by adaptation to ever new operations through the inheritance of muscles, ligaments, and over longer periods of times, bones that had undergone special development and the ever renewed employment of this inherent finesse in new, more and more complicated operations have given the human hand the high degree of perfection required to conjure into being the pictures of a Raphael, the statues of a Thorwaldsen, the music of a Paganini. The labor made the development of the brain feasible, since the challenges that arose in everyday life imposed by nature's barriers had to be overcome with intelligence. The possibility of living beyond reproductive age allowed culture to develop as a means of transmitting inherited knowledge. Engels said about this, the first operations for which our ancestors gradually learned to adapt their hand during the many thousands of years of transition from ape to man could have been only very simple ones. Before the first flint could be fashioned into a knife by human hands, a period of time probably elapsed, in comparison with which the historical period known to us appears insignificant. But the decisive step had been taken. The hand had become free and could henceforth attain ever greater dexterity. The greater flexibility thus acquired was inherited and increased from generation to generation. The use of work instruments directly affect the other organs. This follows the Darwinian principle of correlation. Since all members of a community had to be in solidarity with each other, this created the need for articulate language. People within a community had to communicate to cooperate in increasingly specialized word networks. The organs of speech were directly affected by the freeing of the hand. Engels says, on the other hand, the development of labor necessarily helped to bring the members of society closer together by increasing cases of mutual support and joint activity, and by making clear the advantage of this joint activity to each individual. In short, men in the making arrived at the point where they had something to say to each other. Neil Faulkner stated about the creation and evolution of language. Early humans had long, low skulls, sloping foreheads, projecting broad ridges, and heavy jaws. Modern humans have large, dome-shaped skulls, much flatter faces, and smaller jaws. The change was mainly due to increased brain size. Homo sapiens was highly intelligent. Big brains make it possible to store information, think and imagine, and communicate in complex ways. Language is the key to all this. The world is classified, analyzed, and discussed through speech.